Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Today, we're going to find out all about pet healthcare here in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for joining us. And we have Marcela Gonzalez of the Miami Vet Group. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We have our co-host over here, Lori Nussbaum.
Good to meet you, Lori.
Thank you for
you're in
being
your wonderful
here.
pink and in wonderful green. Is this like for St. Patrick's Day?
Actually, yeah.
Okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
So many people have pets because we know that it's just good for the soul.
Yes.
And we consistently see how people are much more comforted with their pets at home. And we see dogs and cats are now like part of the family, probably for a long time, but they've been getting their dues.
Yes.
All right. So Marcela, first tell us a little bit about yourself and how you wind up working at Miami Vet Group.
Yeah. As most veterinarians and veterinary professionals, we grew up saying we wanted to be veterinarians. And so that was the initial path. And I worked my way towards becoming a veterinarian, getting all my credentials, my education. And then I realized I can help pets by working in the office setting, still practicing the medicine, but not necessarily being the doctor. I do much better with organizing the day-to-day, making sure clients are happy, the education, and that the pets are being well taken care of.
So we know communication is a huge part of it.
Yes.
We used to get dog trainers. They weren't really training the dog. They were training us
Yes.
on how to do that.
Yes.
You were acutely aware of that.
Yes.
And so when people complain about their dog, you gotta know.
It's you.
Usually look at the clients. Yes.
Yes.
So Lori, you're a pet owner, all right? So you recently, a year or so ago, got a little puppy.
Yes, I did. And let me just tell you, the dog literally pulls me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's all about that. And
Yes.
I've gone through training, and none of it seems to work.
Yeah.
So any recommendations on that?
Yeah, so I'm not a trainer, but the little that I do know, I've been fear-free certified. That's something that's more common these days, and it's basically training on positive reinforcement. So we respect the animals as their own sentient beings, and so as long as we're more aware of their needs, their wants, we can accommodate them in our lifestyle. And so definitely positive reinforcement training is the ideal.
the way to go.
Yeah.
Positive reinforcement to me is give them treats.
Yes.
And then they do what you want. But you
Yes.
can't be giving them treats all the time.
We're not talking about your husband, all right? We're talking about well, maybe we are. All right?
Yeah, it works both ways.
So Marcella, tell us
Yes.
about Miami Vet Group, what goes on in the practice there, and we're going to take a look at your website in a second. But in the meanwhile, can we run their website address across the bottom? So,
Yes.
so tell us about the practice.
So we are a general practice in Pinecrest, so serving the community of Pinecrest and around, whoever wants to travel to us. And so we basically are more focused on preventative medicine. And so catching disease early, doing screenings like blood work and vaccines and prevention. So that's our key. I would say we specialize in the holistic approach, which is great. So looking at the patient as a whole, not just treating the disease that they present with, but their lifestyle at home, the pet parents' lifestyle at home, taking that into
I like
account.
that, pet parents.
Yeah.
Because now they're included in that.
Yes, it's a team effort. Pets spend the majority of their time at home. They don't see the vet very often, maybe once a year, if that. So it's important that we get the pet parents on board with the prevention plan and educate them so that they're taken care of when they see us.
So when you said about prevention,
Yes.
for unless you are acutely aware of it, the time you might take your pet to the vet is when they seem to be showing some symptoms. My dog's not feeling well. At that point, it's no longer prevention. Essentially, they're in the midst of something.
Yes.
So as far as prevention, what is it that a pet owner should do? What's the kind of schedule they should be on?
That's great. I love that question. So definitely semi-annual visits. Every 6 months, they should be seeing a vet because things change and animals are notorious for hiding their illness. That's an instinct that they have from many years ago.
And why is that?
So that they don't get hunted and killed, right? And so they hide their illness as much as they can. So it's not until the pet parent notices that, oh gosh.
And that is a real thing.
Yes.
That is not like, well, we made that up. That is an absolute real thing.
That's science-based, yes.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
But let me ask you a question. You do, you say holistic medicine.
Yes.
So what's this laser therapy that you do and all of that type of thing? I noticed on your website you do something called photobiomodulation.
That I'm
What
not
is that?
so aware of.
Okay.
But as far as laser therapy goes, like low laser therapy, that is an anti-inflammatory and cellular regenerative therapy that we use commonly with like our senior patients. So any patient that might be suffering from arthritis, post-surgical therapy is also pretty common. So after any type of inflammatory process, we will use the laser therapy to enhance the cellular regeneration and healing and anti-inflammatory properties.
And if we could, as far as prevention, tell us about dental care.
Oh,
for
yes.
pets.
So important. So I don't do this at home, and I'm sad to say, but we should be brushing our dogs' and cats' teeth every single day the way that we do for ourselves. But we don't. It's tough. And so usually once a year, they should be getting an anesthetic dental cleaning. For our patients that can't go under general anesthesia, there are different options. But definitely they should be having a full-blown dental once a year.
So if somebody has a young pet, they could train them not to like fight you the whole way.
So not necessarily, because we want to avoid causing them any stress or bad experiences at the vet. So generally speaking, the best cleaning that they can get is under anesthesia, general anesthesia. We can get under the gum line. We can extract any teeth that look kind of funky. We can assess the mouth much better asleep for any oral masses or abnormalities better than we can when they're awake and fighting us because they don't understand what's going on.
Do wealthy people put on, excuse the term, make sure I got it right, put caps on any of their the dogs or cats' teeth?
It depends. I've found that people from all walks of life will do anything for their pet. I mean, I've been one of those people who couldn't afford care, and I took out, credit cards to cover my dog's care. So it really is about the philosophy that you have on what the quality of your dog's life should be, your pet's life.
But let me ask you a question. I actually brush my dog's teeth.
That's awesome.
I do. I have it, and she likes it.
Great.
She actually likes it. But does insurance cover? I mean, I know there's various insurance plans. Cover any of this preventative care?
Yes. So it depends on the policy and the company that you go with. But I always encourage pet parents to do their research about the different types of plans and what they offer. Some plans offer preventative care. Some plans only cover emergency care. So it really depends on what you see yourself doing with that pet, and the type of breed that they have is also predisposed to certain things. So different plans are better for different people and their pets, for sure.
Okay, can we take a look at their website and we'll look. Now you said your office is in Pinecrest, 125th and South Dixie Highway.
Yep.
Right. Let's scroll up a little bit. But you do have an at-home service.
We do. We take care of house calls.
House calls. There we go.
Yes. Or mobile vet, you could say, within a certain mile radius of our hospital, if it makes sense. But absolutely, we do.
So that means you don't have to struggle to figure out how to get the dog in the car because he knows about what's going to happen, right?
Yes.
And to fight you the whole way.
Or the cat in the carrier, yeah.
So they could call you up and say, here, we live down the street, this is what kind of dog we have. When could you come out?
Yes, and it depends too on what they need. But for the most part, the first visit to establish that care or to find out if they would need to come into the hospital, that would be a great time to do a house call.
And so you could go out and say, listen, this puppy needs some help.
Yes.
We don't have everything we need,
right?
So why don't you bring them over?
Right.
And lots of times people don't know quite what to feed their pets.
Yes.
Big thing.
Table scraps, floor stuff, cat food,
yes.
right? And whatever else might be floating around.
Yes.
So tell us about the best way to take care of. Let's start with your dogs and we'll do cats.
Okay. So both in general have their own caloric needs, vitamin, nutrient, mineral needs, and at different stages of their life as well, need different needs. So always, we should be speaking to our veterinarians about their nutrition, their lifestyle, whatever disease processes they may be going through. There are even veterinary nutritionists, board certified veterinary nutritionists, that this is all they do. And they have remote appointments available. So I find that at our clinic, we commonly are having this discussion about diets every day because it's important.
Because you can look at a dog or cat and instantly go, the average cat might weigh how much?
I would say like 12 pounds.
So you know if he's weighing 15 or 16.
Yes.
Because it's 25 to 35% more. You go,
yes.
The cat is fat, right?
Yes.
And if it's an inside cat, the food comes from one place.
Right.
If cats are outside, do they overeat because they have to hunt? They typically are not.
Not necessarily. I think it's dependent on the cat, and also are they suffering from anything like a thyroid issue, or are they unable to move from arthritis, so they are reluctant to exercise more. It really depends. It's very specific.
What about these? You're talking about foods for dogs and cats.
Yes.
So, now they have all these fancy foods like Farmer's Dog and all these things. I mean, I don't know. You can go to the store and get the Royal Canin or whatever. That's what the science diet, and they do well on it.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on all that?
So that's the key. You said it. They do well on it. If your pet is eating a diet that has all the vitamins, nutrients, caloric needs that they need, and they do well on it, meaning they are not having any dietary indiscretion, they don't show any allergies, anything like that, they're enjoying it, there's no need to change. Now, when we diagnose pets with certain diseases, or we find that they are having dietary indiscretion with a certain diet, that's when we start talking about changing the diet. But generally speaking, pet parents shouldn't be changing diets just off of a whim, just because marketing is really good nowadays and they are saying this one's better than this one. Always, always, always consult your veterinarian. They went to school for this.
So we happen to have a couple inside, one inside who we took him in from outside because he went blind in one eye. So his hearing at this point is very acute.
Okay.
Because he gets scared because he can't see it.
Yes.
But he'll follow us around. All right. He sleeps with us now. Before he'd always sit by the front door and waiting. One day he sneaks in. One of the things we've seen with our outside cats, which are two, there's a pecking order that they establish between themselves.
I'm sure.
And we see one guy was getting beat up, and all of a sudden he went back, and now they share the patio.
Yeah, respectfully.
Right, and we see that frequently.
Yes.
So sometimes dogs and cats get into fights and get themselves hurt. Mm-hmm. And let's say it's not a critical thing, but they have this opening on that. What should they do?
Absolutely go to your veterinarian. Why? Because it could be infected. Dogs, cats, they're not being bathed every single day like we shower every single day. They're outside, they lay on the floor. So those wounds can become infected and become a bigger problem. Also to address their pain. If I had a huge gash on my arm because someone bit me, I would go to the ER because it's painful.
Good point, because so often we would forget, and we may just look at it and go, oh, it's just a cut.
Yes.
But there's some pain associated with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about the age group of the pets you typically take care of.
Oh.
So let's hear it from over here to...
From the start of life to the end of life, we see it all. So we have patients come in that were just born yesterday or maybe being born at our hospital. We also have patients that sadly we share the last day with them and their pet parents. So we see the whole thing.
So frequently, I'm glad you brought it up as far as when you watch your pet get really old and they get sick and it gets blind and they can't walk.
Yes.
How do people wind up in consultation with you saying, well, today's the day? Tell us about that process.
Yes. So usually the pet parent kind of already knows. And I can tell by the way that they come in, they're somber or they're already crying. Usually we've already established care with these people or with their pets. So we kind of have an idea when the time is coming. And we have that discussion with them. Like, are they enjoying themselves the way that...
Having quality of life.
Yes, quality of life over quantity of life. So if Fluffy forever, for the last 14 years, loved chasing his ball down your yard and he's no longer doing that, and that's one of his favorite things, we know that his quality of life is being affected and we need to address it. There are things that we still can do. We can give them pain medications. We can talk about physical therapy, changing the diet, his lifestyle. But when their quality of life is diminished, that's the conversation that we're having.
How do you know when they're in the pain, when they're feeling pain?
Yes. So generally speaking, pets, like I said, they'll hide their illness and their pain until they can't anymore.
They have a high threshold for pain.
Yes. And so commonly you'll see inappetence, vomiting, trembling, shaking, unable to move quite as well as they used to, or moving gingerly. That's usually a sign of pain. Even aggression can be a sign of pain. So if you approach them and they try to bite you, that's kind of indicative of, something's bothering him or her.
So we have been in the animal arena for a long time. And so with birds, we know that if we're walking up next to them, they look perfect. Mm-hmm. The feathers are down. Walk away and watch them. You can see which ones are sick. Yeah. They're all fluffed up, all right, and they're sort of hiding over the corner. But when they see the threat, I'm healthy, all right, so leave me alone.
Right.
And so let's talk about other animals that hide their presence. Iguanas, they do certain things. Okay. But let's talk about other animals that hide that they were there so that the prey won't find them. Tell us about some of those things.
I don't understand the question.
Like they're why iguanas when they poop, they try to cover it.
Okay.
Cats, why do cats cover their poop?
I would imagine, I actually don't know the answer, but if I had to take an educated guess, I would imagine for that reason, just so that they can either find that spot again, they know that this is familiar territory, or to ward off other cats. I'm actually not sure.
Okay, that's all right. All right. Let's talk about non-traditional, or in the old days, non-traditional medicine, which was treating the animal with surgery or medicine, injections or topical ointments. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about other things, treatments, whether it's physical therapy or acupuncture or acupressures. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's what we call integrative medicine. Right. So essentially where we combine both the traditional form of medicine that we all know and other therapies that are less science-based, more evidence-based. So like acupuncture, Chinese herbs, ozone therapy.
So how do you move somebody that says, I believe in that stuff. I do acupuncture myself. I take vitamins. I take minerals. I go to the different types of gyms. I exercise. I eat well. But my pet over here, I'm just going to feed him and maybe he'll be around. What's the conversation sound like with a pet parent about taking care of their pet?
It's a challenge sometimes, but really just presenting them with the goal that we all have. Our objective at the end of the day is to have our pets live as long and as good of a life as we possibly can. And so I usually approach it by asking questions. How do you see Fluffy at home? Do you think he could have a better quality of life? Are you committed to taking the time to educating and researching and taking our recommendations and applying that to your lifestyle? And if they say yes, which normally they do once they realize, I love my dog or I love my cat, I would love to do X, Y, Z to make them feel better. That's when we now have crossed that speed bump and now we're working together as a team to achieve it.
So, Laura, how long you've had your pet?
A year.
A year. So what was it like? You go pick up the puppy. How old is it when you got him?
Like 2 months.
So, all right. So 2-month-old puppy comes into your house. So what were some of the challenges for you and versus today with the dog?
I think that for me, the biggest challenges were first of all, the training, getting the puppy I live in a condo, so taking the dog, trying to figure out where she's going to go, having her go to the bathroom, particular times, and that type of thing. How to kind of what to give her to eat, how does she interact with other animals, all those things. But they kind of adapt to your life, and then eventually it just you make them adapt to your life. But she still pulls me. But I just wanted to ask this question. I saw that you have on your website something called the fear-free approach.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So that is a newer, semi-new method of approaching animals as sentient beings and just being aware of their feelings, their stress, their anxiety, their fears, especially when it comes to vet visits. So nobody likes to go to the doctor, as far as I know. I myself get very nervous. Imagine not being able to communicate those nerves in a healthy way, or fear or stress. And so what ends up happening is dogs and cats, they'll bite or they'll scratch or they'll yelp or they'll run. And so our approach is to treat that fear, that stress, that anxiety, potentially with medications or potentially with positive experiences, making them understand when you come to the vet or when you do anything that's fearful, anxiety provoking, or stressful, we can make it a positive experience so that you're no longer afraid of this. And so we take that approach in our practice.
Let's talk, if we could. So dogs, cats, they have territories. We see the dogs barking up and down the fence line.
Yeah.
And some of it is just, swordmanship. And some is real.
Speaking of barking, stay on that topic.
When we see dogs and cats go to the vet's office, they seem relatively controlled, considering.
Yes.
And then if you go to dog park, I'm going to hear these 20 dogs that are here, and they all seem pretty okay.
Yeah.
What happens from that backyard fence there where they're like rallying, don't come over here, I'm in charge of this, to where there's more of that community? Tell us about that, how that works.
I wish I knew more about dog psychology, but based off of my own experiences with my own dog who's like that, he's extremely territorial at home, but at the dog park, he loves it. I think having the freedom to kind of address and confront threats or perceived threats at a dog park and being able to leave it as well. So if they find a dog that is crossing their yard, they're in a confined space, they know that that space is theirs, so they're going to protect it. They feel threatened, or they're just communicating to that dog, hey, don't come near my house. But at the dog park, it's not as territorial, and they have like the room to kind of like run it off, separate from the perceived threat, and kind of assess it better with more space in between. So,
Any other question?
Yes. So my dog is like the alpha dog at the park, constantly barking and barking and barking. But she's also barking at home all the time. Now, she's a basset hound, and I know those breeds bark a lot. But what do you recommend? They have all these things that, like these collars, these no bark collars. Yeah. What's your feeling on those things?
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of the no bark collars. Again, back to the positive reinforcement. We don't want to punish the dog for communicating with us. If they're barking, it's usually for a reason. Either they're bored, they're hungry, they want to play. Specifically with your basset hound, those are working dogs. So they might need more mental stimulation. And so they're just bored. And so they want the attention. They'll bark until they get it. My dog is a terrier at home, and he's the same. If I don't give him the attention that he requires every day, he won't leave me alone. He's an incessant barker. But knowing your breed, knowing their needs and meeting them are super important. But I don't believe in negative actions to correct it, unfortunately.
So I'm sure there's some people say it's just a dog, but the reality is it's not just a dog.
Right.
It's a lot more than that. Let's talk about chipping your pets.
Yes.
And the importance of that.
Yes. So it's kind of misunderstood by a lot of clients. People think that microchips are like a GPS, and it's not. It's not they're unable to track them. It's more of an identification measure. So we chip our pets so that if, God forbid, they got lost, hopefully a good citizen, a good Samaritan, takes them to a local veterinarian. Most veterinarians, if not all, have a scanner, and they can scan it. They'll call the company that it's associated with that number and reunite the pet with the client as long as they've been registered with that information.
So important to be chipped, important for a collar with the tag.
Yes.
A friend of ours was taking his dog, his wife's dog, not his, to the vet. The dog got out of the collar and ran away. That was it.
Oh, no.
Gone.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Oh, my goodness, because the dog was so terrified.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the spectrum, one day in the house, this mixed pit bull comes over with big tail wagging.
Yeah. Dopey.
He bit up a lot. So I give him some water, all right? right? Give him some food, okay. And he just plops down. Okay, he'll go home soon.
He never went home.
And go home.
Smart dog.
So later that day, I drive down the street. He runs after me.
Oh my God.
So he ran 4 or 5 houses. I'm watching him in the mirror.
Right.
Okay, so go back home. He's still there a couple of days, feed him water. Now he's good for him.
Yeah.
I go, let's walk down the street and see if he follows me. Now I'm putting this dog's picture everywhere, trying to please take this dog. Who's it? Walking down the street, and as soon as we go next door, passing, he looks and he runs. He was the next door neighbor's dog.
Awesome.
He just wanted to go on a visit.
He was exploring.
Yes.
Wow.
For
And so-
days.
yes.
For days.
So, and it's important for all of us to understand,
Yes.
and that these dogs are out there, and we see that where people are dumping their dogs, and we know Animal Services has hundreds and hundreds of extra dogs, all right?
Yes.
And they're doing their job and trying to get them adopted. They got all special sort of deals all the time, young dogs, old dogs, big dogs, little dogs.
Yes.
So if somebody's looking for a pet, they can go to Animal Services, all right?
Absolutely.
Miami-Dade County,
Yes.
all right? You can find a perfect pet, a young one or an old one.
Adopt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
And they also have cats there.
Yes.
Right. And we know that sometimes they are so packed over there that the offices are they have the dogs in the crates, but they've really been doing a great job
They've tried,
in trying to find homes. They call them forever homes.
Yes.
And if somebody wants to foster a little one, they can do that, dog or cat. So
Yes.
we're a big advocate for them. And the people that work there really, really care. As you do.
Yes.
And so that they are doing a great job in keeping the dogs alive and trying to balance all those things.
Yes.
So do people call you up and say, here, I found this dog, and they bring it over? I found this cat, I'm going to leave it on your front doorstep?
So not as of yet. We've only been open so long, but definitely at my previous jobs, that happens all the time. It's so sad. It really is. We do our best. I mean, if they leave it there, we try to adopt it out, or usually one of the vet staff end up with the pet. So
when typically you don't want people to do that.
no, I mean, if they don't know of any other resource, absolutely go to your nearest animal hospital, and they can usually point you to the right direction.
Right. And there are lots of not-for-profits. Sometimes they're breed specifics.
Oh, yes.
But they're all
Exactly.
over the internet. You can find some people of those people we work with. And if somebody finds an exotic in their backyard, whether it's a little baby squirrel, God, I hate finding them because
I know.
I feel compelled to do something, which I always do,
Yes.
right?
Or a bird.
Right? or exotic bird, sometimes a baby possum, baby raccoons. What should they do?
So I don't work with exotics, but the knowledge that I do have, I'll usually call an exotics vet, and they point me in the right direction.
So for the most part, the Miami Vet Group does
Yes.
work on exotic dogs and cats, all different
Correct.
sizes, from infants to
Yes.
10 or 12 years old.
Yes.
So anyway, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Pleasant.
Thank
right?
you.
And we hope that Pinecrest in the area brings you lots of smiley faces
I hope
and lots
so.
of fun barks and meows.
Yes, I hope so.
So you have a question as we get ready to wrap up?
No, I'm so glad that you came and gave us information personally. I'm glad that you gave me information.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank
And
you
we're going
guys
to
for
run
having me.
their website across the bottom. And so if you were going to leave somebody with one tip, all right, about their pets, what is it?
Treat them the way you would like to be treated. That's the golden rule. Yeah.
Marcela Gonzalez, thank you very much
Thank
for being
you
here.
so
Terrific.
much.
Thank
Lori,
you.
Nussbaum,
Thank
you
you
very
so
much
much.
for being here.
Thank
And
you.
Rachel, thanks for producing the show. Again, folks, if you need some quality health care and medical advice for your dog or cat, feel free to visit miamivetgroup.com, and you can go on Google and find them or go directly to their website. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.